It's the Abba podcast. Let's go. And we're live on the podcast with a special guest, a two-time Australian super featherweight champion at WBO Oriental, WBA Oceania. We're here with my dear brother and friend, Billel Dib. Billel, how are we, mate?
Good, brother. Good. Pleasure to be on.
Pleasure to have you on, champion. So talk to us a bit about your boxing career. How did it start and where'd the passion and love for the sport come from?
Passion's been there since a young age, man. I've always just loved the sport. As you know, a lot of my family members are boxers and have always loved boxing. So it's something my father always loved growing up, and I just fell in love with the sport at a young age, man.
God bless you. So was the goal always to turn pro? Were you like inspired from seeing the family go through the ranks as well?
Not really, man. To be honest, my dad, I wanted to box from a lot of a younger age than I actually did, but my dad never let me. So I had to kind of sneak away and find a way to the gym, and then convince him to come to my first amateur fight. And then when he finally came, he walked away from the fight saying, you know what, he can actually fight. So he supported me as an amateur, but he said, you're never allowed to turn pro. I said, no worries. And then one day, real random, he called me one day and he said, there's a fight in 4 weeks on the Sonny Bill Williams undercard. He's friends with Coda Nasser. So he called me and said, I just spoke with Coda. There's a spot for you on the card in 4 weeks. Do you want to turn pro? I said, sounds good, man. Let's do it. So we turned pro in 4 weeks and it all just kind of spiraled on from there.
So it's interesting. So your father, the one who was trying to, hold you back a bit, God bless. And is that what pushed you to do so well in the books? Because you're also an accountant and you're studying law as well?
I'm an accountant. I'm not studying law anymore. My brothers are lawyers, so I just did my accounting degree. But my father said, once he agreed that I'm turning pro, he said, I'll always support you. Just finish your degree for me. And I'm happy I did.
So you're currently juggling that full time with the boxing. How's that work? Like, what's the balance there?
Yeah, I've got my own accounting firm, and I train full time. Having your own firm makes it a lot easier than if I was to be working for somebody. Or so I kind of, I can work at my own pace and run the show a bit, which makes it a lot easier with my boxing career. But I kind of just wanted to set up my accounting firm before I retire, so that once I retire, I don't need to start from scratch, type thing.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. You're looking forward into the future, planning ahead, and
yeah, for sure.
No, God bless you, brother. And so you're currently boxing under your head coach is Angelo Hayder. Is that true?
No, I'm back with Billy Hussein now.
Oh, so you're Billy. So how's that relationship going, and what are you guys looking forward into 21?
Billy and I are more than just a trainer and fighter relationship. We've known each other for a long time. I started my professional career with him. And so it's good to be back with him, man. It's more of a, we work well together and we bond well together. So I'm looking forward to having my first fight back with him in April, first week of April.
So inshallah, who are we looking at April, opponents-wise? I hear and I've seen all over the media, it's called out someone on the name of Liam Wilson. What's going on there?
I never called him out. He called me out. So, you know what, to be honest, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't even be encouraging the idea, but COVID's made it's tough to get opponents and international opponents in, and it's tough to travel. I was actually meant to be fighting in England last week, but with COVID and so on, a few different things kind of disrupted that. So, I haven't fought for a year and a half. Liam called me out originally, and I told these people that I'm happy to fight March 31st. They scheduled a fight for him to fight in April. I obviously can't fight mid-April. They're fighting on April 22nd. I obviously can't do that because of Ramadan. I don't fight in Ramadan. So, to me, it sounds like, they're just playing the people and trying to act like they wanted the fight for March, but when they really didn't. So I'll continue. I'm not going to hold my career for them. I'll continue to move forward and fight first week of April. And if they want it in August, then I'm happy to beat him up because I actually really would love to hurt the kid. So.
Yeah, no, I've seen you. You're always conscious of your opponent leaving out in good health. But with Liam, I read the paper. You're like, I don't have any consideration to his health.
Nah, man, I'd like to hurt the kid, and I like to keep it professional. But I think even if I saw him in the street, I'd probably smack him around a bit because I don't respect the guy at all as a human. Forget boxing. Boxing's bigger than just the sport. I don't respect him as a human. For somebody to wish and praise innocent people being murdered, to me, that he's a danger to society himself. So, you know, I couldn't care less for him, man. So if we do meet, and if they do, you know, if they come to the table and they do finally, you know, put their mouth or put themselves in the ring where their mouth is, then I'll be glad to beat him up, bro.
So yeah, let's move on from a bit of boxing. Your morals and your ethics. You know, you're a humanitarian. You've done a lot of humanitarian aid. You know, as a Muslim as well, the responsibility in Islam is to always look out for one another and never to be proud over someone else's demise or misfortune. You know, so talk to us a bit about how your experience going overseas and working with these people were.
Going overseas was it was kind of, it's something that I spoke about wanting to do a week before the opportunity presented itself towards me. So I feel like it was meant to be, you know, because I had only spoken about it a week earlier. I was sitting down at a family barbecue. I've got children. I've actually got 3 children. So
God bless them.
Yeah, my oldest son is he's in high school next year. So I had children real young. So, you know, I was at a barbecue after I had come back from America. I had a good win in America, fought in America, had a good win, came back home, was having a family barbecue. And, you know, I've seen some videos on Facebook of some children suffering overseas in Lebanon and Syria and eating grass because they had no food. I'm sure you've seen the video, went viral. And then I looked over at my son and he was eating a hot dog with sauce all over his face. And I thought, man, like, it's tough, you know, like, look how blessed our children are and look what these children have. So I looked over at my father and I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to try and see if I can go overseas and try and do something, you know. And then just by coincidence, a week later, I was approached by a charity organization. And I asked them, you know, they wanted me to be the face of the company. And I said, what's involved? And they said, well, we're trying to raise some funds towards building a rehab center for children affected by war. And I said, if I'm going to be involved, I want to go overseas and see it myself. So, you know, it kind of just everything kind of just pieces of the puzzle fit together and it all just worked out well.
Yeah, look, and for the audience and the people watching, to put this into context, you had just signed with Billel Entertainment. You've come off big wins in New York and in America. You were in line for an WBO world title fight. So potentially your boxing career was sky high and you opted to take that opportunity, which speaks volume about yourself. Looking back at that, do you feel that that experience was part of the reason why your visa was cancelled in America?
It's a tough question, man, because I don't know any other reasons that it could be. You know, before I went and when I had agreed to go, I had an American manager at that time who I still have a relationship with at the moment. His name is Henry Revolta. He's from Miami. He was the CEO of Mike Tyson Promotions. And he begged me not to go. You know, he's a good man as well. He said, listen, Billel, I understand why you want to do it, but can you just wait? Just wait another year or so. Let's just get this title shot. You're this close. We're going to get the shot. And I said, listen, I don't know if this opportunity is going to present itself again. And to me, going overseas and trying to lend a helping hand is more important than a world title shot. And I just felt like I was in a position to help. Like if I didn't go, I'd be real selfish. So I chose to go to Lebanon. And I don't regret it one bit, man. You know, if it was the reason that my visa was cancelled, then that's, you know, I believe in everything is God's plan. And then if that was meant to be, then that was the way it's meant to be.
Oh, yeah, look, it's definitely admirable, especially as someone with your platform and the opportunity you had for people to be aware of that you had such high stakes, yet you chose a more honorable path. But even if you were to look at COVID and what's going on with the world, it's like you might have missed out on opportunity, but I'm sure it's going to come to you, inshallah, when you continue to strive in the path that you're doing.
If it's meant to be, man, it will happen.
100%, man. So we're looking at April. Do we got opponents? Have we signed the contract? Do we know location, anything like that?
Finding opponents has been tough because, like I said, we can't bring anyone in the country, and there aren't many people in Australia in my division that are kind of on the same level. So it's been tough, man. I've been speaking with Billy Hussein over the last couple of days, and we've been knocked back by a lot of different opponents. He's got a couple in mind at the moment, so we're just sending off some contracts, and hopefully should have confirmation within the next week.
Inshallah, man. Inshallah, all goes well with you.
Yeah.
Let's look at your Australian, your first title that you won. How was that, and how was your feeling heading into that match? What was your preparation like for that bout?
My first Australian title, I had only had 4 amateur fights as an amateur. So, you know, then I fought for the Australian title early in my career. I think it was my 8th fight. And the guy that I fought, his record was.
So it seems like we've momentarily lost Billel Dib. Kind of technical issues. Hopefully that'll be resolved. Yeah, sorry, brother. You just cut out for a bit.
All right. I don't know which part did we get?
So we're basically your amateur record. You only had 4 fights going into it, and then it cut off.
Yeah. So I had 4 fights as an amateur, and then I got the opportunity to fight for the Australian title as a pro. I think it was in my 8th fight. The guy that I fought was his record was really deceiving. He was a South Korean from South Korea originally, and he had over 350 amateur fights over in South Korea. And anyone that knows boxing knows South Koreans are tough. So, you know, to be honest, I was really nervous going into that fight. It was my first fight against someone who was, you know, kind of decent. But you know what? First couple of rounds as well, the boxing wasn't doing too well. So Billy Hussein said to me in the corner, he's like, listen, boxing isn't working for the first 3 rounds. Put your hands up and just go forward and maul this guy, you know, and let's work the body and you got to break him. So we adjusted, and I showed that I could do that early in my career, which was good, man.
And so how was the highs afterwards with the family? And, you know, you reached after 8 fights. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was good. It was a good feeling. But you know what? I always told myself when I turned pro that my goal isn't to be, and this is not having a dig at anyone on the local scene, but my goal is not to box to stay on the local scene. If I'm going to dedicate my life to this, then I want to be a world champion and I want to fight on the international level. So when I won the Australian title, although I was very happy with the achievement, I knew that I wasn't satisfied at all. So I couldn't let myself get too comfortable and too happy, because I knew that I had bigger and better dreams ahead of me. So it was just kind of a step in the right direction.
So you've rubbed shoulders with some of the best boxers. You've went overseas to conferences and the likes. How does that feel being in the presence of such boxers? And like you said, has that inspired you to go that extra further, that extra step?
Yeah, I've rubbed shoulders with a lot of not just boxers, a lot of celebrities, man. In my time overseas, you know, I went to the cinemas with Floyd Mayweather, a private cinema, Oprah Winfrey's private studio. He had a documentary coming out about himself, and that was his first screening. He was watching it, so it was about only 25 of us, including Floyd and his family members. So you know, I've rubbed some shoulders with some cool people over there, and it's just, I don't ever get starstruck or anything like that. I've never been that type of person, but you see what they've accomplished, and it just makes you want what they've done.
Yeah, that's very important, man. Hanging around with successful people, you want to strive to be like them. What's a story from Floyd that you learned, that you took back, that some of us wouldn't ever be exposed to?
That he loves money.
So it's not a facade.
Nah, it's for real. I don't know, man. He was wearing a diamond chain that was blinding me every time I look at it. You know what? It's kind of hard to gauge. Just, you know, I wasn't in the gym with him, but I've been in the gym with many other world champions, and it's just, the pattern is very similar with a lot of successful athletes. It's just work hard, stay dedicated, and stay focused.
So, when you say you've trained with world champion, what's your favorite encounter with someone from overseas?
My favorite encounter with somebody overseas. You know what? He's not probably the most well-known person that I've been around, but I really enjoyed spending time with Luis Ortiz, the heavyweight. We had the same trainer in America. Herman was my coach and was also his coach. And I just, you know, for training camps, we spent 3 months together at a time, in and out of the gym and so on. And he was just a real cool guy. You know, he worked real hard. He wasn't lazy. And he kind of taught me a few things, you know, in the gym and so on, that have stuck with me for the rest of my career and will stick with me for the rest of my career. So if I'm going to go by, you know, who was the coolest or person that I learned the most from in the gym, it may have actually been him.
It's interesting, because you'd see fighters in a way where none of us would be ever exposed to. And those stories are, like, for us, it's like humbling, like someone like a heavyweight like that. You wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. So you're now fighting, you're living and residing in Queensland. So how are you doing your camps? You coming down to Sydney? You coming down here, or?
Yeah, I live on the Gold Coast, and I stay in shape when I'm here. You know, I train every day. So I've got a few guys here that help me stay in shape. One of them is Craig, who is the owner of Rival Boxing Australia. So he's only like 15, 20 minutes away from my house. So I stay in shape with him, you know, he's got a private gym. I go and work with him. But yeah, I travel to Sydney for training camp. So I actually leave, I think, in 8 days to go back to Sydney.
Okay, beautiful. And how's training camp? Do you take the family with you, or do you go solo?
No, I go by myself. Even when I used to go to the States, I always go by myself.
So how's that experience for you? Like, the sacrifice is real?
Yeah, for sure. Sacrifice is definitely real. But you know what? I was kind of telling my family this the other day as well. I kind of just numb myself. And I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just the way I've always done it. I just kind of numb my feelings and try not to think about, you know, things that will mentally bring you down or deplete you or so on. And I just think about the task ahead, and that's basically it. To be honest, anyone that knows me will tell you that when Billel's in training camp, he's hard to talk to because he doesn't go out at all. I mean, I don't go out at all, but I mean, even restaurants and cafes and so on, you won't see me out much during training camps. And I like to just focus on what I've got to do and stay mentally prepared for that, to be honest, because boxing is and most people don't understand, but boxing is life and death for real. Like it's no joke. So I like to make sure that I'm definitely mentally prepared. I mean, my last opponent that I fought, he killed, unfortunately, the last time he fought in Australia, or the only time he fought in Australia other than me, he killed a fighter in the ring. So, you know, it's tough mentally, and I just got to make sure that I'm mentally focused enough to make sure that nothing can disturb me and disrupt me.
So yeah, no, you can't really fake boxing, and it's the utmost respect for anyone who ever goes in the ring. Being a Muslim, how does that help you in training camp? How does that keep you focused on the task at hand? And as a person, how do you feel that gives you an edge that your opponents might not have?
I think it definitely gives a huge edge because, firstly, being a Muslim, you know, I've never had a drop of alcohol or a drug in my life. I grew up on the Gold Coast in the party. I mean, everyone knows Gold Coast is party world. I don't go clubbing. I don't party. So being a Muslim, obviously the reasons that I never did that is because I'm a Muslim. And I try and follow my religion. You know, I'm not perfect, but I try and be as best of a Muslim as I can. And then in terms of boxing, being a Muslim gives you that belief that I feel gives me an edge over my opponents, because it gives you a sense of like why you do things. And that faith and that belief within your heart I feel like makes me stronger than my opponents.
Yeah, it's very important, because even if you look at the pillars of faith, certainty, yaqeen is something that gives you an edge, because it's like, it is what it is. It's whatever it's going to be. I've put in the work. I'm coming out to chase my dream, to take this fella out, and the best person, may the best person win, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, who's going to face the wrath of that is Liam, if he's unfortunate enough to meet me in the ring.
So look, in all honesty, you know, Liam, you know the contract negotiations that are behind closed door. How realistic is this about, and do you think he'd ever sign on the dotted line?
Yeah, I think he'll sign. I think his people will lie to him. I don't think Liam's scared or intimidated or anything like that. Fighters at this level aren't. But I just think that maybe, you know, they were playing some mind games because they wanted people to believe that I didn't want to fight March 31st. And they said they were happy to fight on the co-main of March 31st when I know that slot was already taken. So it was just all mind games, you know. Maybe they had already, maybe they just didn't want to look like they weren't taking the fight at this moment. But I think it will happen, because I'm open to making it happen in August. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, but in saying that, I'm the A side. I'm the one that's worked my career to get to where I am. He hasn't done anything in his career. I'm world ranked. He's not. I've got belts. He doesn't. So, and I'm the name and he's not, because the truth of the matter is that all of my supporters didn't know who he was before we started going back and forth, and all his supporters already knew who I was. So I'm clearly the bigger draw than he is. Yeah,
no, well, rightly so. I've never heard of Liam Nielsen, no disrespect, until I come across a paper, then I come across a bit of a back and forth from Australian boxing. And it was pretty surprising as to where the hate and the bandana started from. So now you're telling me that it was something that he was taking a victory over someone else's losses. When did that spiral out? Because I'm not aware of him.
Well, the way it originally started was before everyone came to find out about it. Was a friend of mine who's he's now pro, but when he was an amateur, Furkan Dermakaya, he's from Melbourne. He fought Liam as an amateur, and Furkan, I didn't know who Liam was maybe a year or so ago either. And Furkan told me that I think maybe about 2 years ago, Furkan told me that Liam Wilson called him a Muslim dog during an actual fight. And it wasn't just something that was said and there was no witnesses. Everyone heard it. The ref heard it and everyone, and they made him apologize afterward. But the fact that he had such rage and for that to come out of your mouth during a time of anger, it just shows true colors to me. And then, you know what, if we were to forgive it and say, you know what, maybe he was just upset and it came out by accident, he followed up with another spiral of hate when the New Zealand shooting happened in the mosque. One of his friends or somebody put up a post saying that it's payback to all the Muslims around the world for everything they've done, and it's the best news that he's heard all year. And Liam Wilson wrote 100%. So once that happened, someone sent it to me. That was when I first found out who Liam was at that point. And then that's when Furkan told me this is the guy. He called me a Muslim dog during a fight. So I put that up on my social media, and he was Australian champion at that point. And I was ranked number 5 in the world, so he wasn't even on my radar at all. I put that up on my social media, and I said, this guy's meant to be representing our country, and he's meant to be an Australian champion. And look what comments he's making. That's disgusting. My brother's a lawyer, and he shared it on his page, and some media inboxed him, because obviously he's got a lot of media that follows him as well. And they said that they wanted to do a story on it. But then they contacted the Australian Boxing Federation. I'm fairly sure they stripped him of his title. But yeah, like moving on from that, it just shows what type of person he is, and what colors he has. So that's how our kind of animosity started. I don't know why he has a reason to dislike me. Maybe it's because I'm Lebanese Muslim. I don't know. But my reason for disliking him is because I feel like he's not a good human.
Yeah, look, this is the first I hear from this. And if anything, I actually feel sorry for such a sorrowful state. How can you praise such an animal? That the atrocity that happened in Christchurch was something that we'll never forget, and it's absolutely disgusting. So moving on from
and
this,
the funny thing is, the funny thing is, before we move on, is any loss of human life or innocent human life is disgusting. It doesn't matter what religion, or it's sad. Sorry, it doesn't matter what religion, what faith, who they are, where they come from. Any innocent life that has been murdered or lost is sad, right? So if you turn the tables, and if Billel Dib came out and gave a comment about, say, September 11, say Billel Dib came out and made a radical comment and an extreme comment and a disgusting comment and said, oh, September 11, they got what they deserved or something like that, which is not true because innocent lives were lost. Could you imagine the uproar that would be?
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. As Muslims, we carry ourselves to a higher standard because of these people, man. They like to throw stones at us, and they got glass windows. So the house is built from glass. It's disgusting.
But just picture the uproar.
Oh, 100%.
And the same hasn't been reciprocated with him.
Yeah, look, it's double standards at the end of the day.
That's right.
Find victims, in August, we'll see what happens. If he signs a contract, inshallah, God willing, you come out victorious, man. That's disgusting. I've never heard from that. Never heard of him, to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So, inshallah, we get a fight in April. We're looking to fight again in August as well. Yep. Any locations, venues for either of the fights?
I think likely both will be in Sydney. I'm not sure where August will be. That's if that fight even happens. If it doesn't happen, then I've got opportunities to go back to England. So I'm not really focused on Liam. After this fight in April, if they want to make it happen and they want to put their money where their mouth is, and then I'm more than happy to do it. If not, I've got other options. He's not. Unfortunately for him, I'm his only option, but he's definitely not my only option.
So you mentioned that we're looking at England. So what opportunities, under what cards, under what promotions are we looking at in England?
I was scheduled to fight Zelfa Barrett on a Eddie Hearn Matchroom show. He fought last weekend. COVID kind of happened, and it was in England. Last minute, the show was put back on. So contracts were sent out for me, and everything looked like it was going ahead. And then England put a ban on fights in January, and then we weren't sure if it was going ahead or not. And then I had come back to Queensland, and there were COVID restrictions interstate, New South Wales and Queensland and so on. So it just didn't work out. But that opportunity is still there. So there's a possibility I might fight Zelfa Barrett later in the year. Otherwise, they've told me, Matchroom have told me that there's other options for me. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. Were you in training camp with the I forgot their names. The Maloney brothers, sorry. Were you in training camp with them, and how are they, and what's their preparation like?
We had the same trainer when I was training with Angelo. They're good boys, man. They work hard. Good people, disciplined and work hard.
So, who do you got your eyes on in the gym? Who's the next big thing in Australian boxing that you've had an encounter with?
There's a few good guys coming up, to be honest. But to be completely honest with you, right now, I'm kind of just focused on me. I'm at that stage of my career where I've had 2 world title opportunities fall through because of the visa issue in America. I was scheduled to fight Leo Santa Cruz. I was scheduled to fight Alberto Machado. So right now, my energy is all just focused on what I need to do and how I can better myself and put myself in a position to get those title shots and finish my career on a high.
Yeah, no, inshallah, you'll do that. What's your management looking at? Are they looking at options? A couple of fights in Australia, then we've got to go overseas?
Well, if England comes through in after this next fight in April, then that's a good option, because a winner over there will put me exactly where I need to be.
And inshallah, that goes through. On the local scene, we've got Zerafa and Mundine, March 13. How do you feel that's going to go, and who do you got in that fight, in that matchup?
You know what? Not knocking either of them. I know Zerafa not too well, but I've met Zerafa a couple of times, and he's a nice guy. I know Anthony. I've known Anthony for a long time. Anthony used to come over my house when I was a kid, man, when I was like 13, 14. So I've known him for a long time, and to be honest, I just wish Anthony would sail off and has had a great career. I wish he wouldn't fight again. Just obviously it's his decision to do so, but to be honest, I wish this fight wasn't happening.
So look, I think a lot of us share the same sentiment, because look, Anthony has age and he's fighting a young buck in Michael, who's at the peak of his powers at the moment. Do you have any contingencies? Do you have an age where you're going to stop at? Like, do you know what the threshold is? Is your family, your support network there to make sure that you don't fall into that situation?
As soon as I lose the love for the sport, I'll hang it up, because boxing's too dangerous to continue to do it, just to do it, just for money or just for any of that. I've set myself up in a position where I don't need to box for money. But boxing's helped me. I think, my business has been such a success, partially because of boxing. I've built a name for myself, and a lot of my initial client base came from my boxing name. So I think it's helped me a lot in my career, and I've made some decent money from boxing, so it's helped me develop to where I am, but I don't have an age. I don't want to be boxing forever. I just want to get these title shots, win a title, and get out.
And inshallah, that's something you'll do. In the Gold Coast now, like you said, your name is, mashallah, out there and everyone knows you. What's your relationship with the Gold Coast Titans? Because I see a lot of boxing and strength and conditioning is done there.
I've done a few sessions with the Titans. I've gone there to their gym a few times and done a few training sessions with them. I got a few friends of mine that played with the Titans and have played with the Titans. I spent some time with Jared Hayne when he was with the Titans as well. I've got Connie Harrell's a good friend of mine. He doesn't play for the Titans anymore. He's over in England, but he's a good friend of mine as well. I've got a relationship with them.
Yeah, no, Conrad Harrell's he's a character. How is he? He keeps that energy.
He's a funny guy, man. Yeah, in person he's exactly the same. He's a funny guy. He's full of life. He's full of life, man. God bless him. Good dude.
No, God bless. Look, we're gonna go with a rapid fire. So what we need to hear in this segment is the first thing that comes to your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deontay Davis.
Power.
Roger Gisteres.
Tough.
Miguel Berchit.
Wild and strong.
Jamal Herring.
I beat him.
So these guys are the top of your division, and you've got a victory over one of them. So inshallah, the path is to the title, and we're going to take out that title. 2021, we have Billel, Babyface Dib. Billel, any final comments for the fans out there?
Appreciate you for having me. It was enjoyable, and inshallah we can do it again, man.
No, inshallah, when the fight gets announced in April, we'll try and do a segment. We'll get you back on. All the best, Billel. Inshallah, training camp goes well. Opponent comes through, and I will see you in Sydney, inshallah, when you come down.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks very much.
Take care, brother. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.